When I was 37 years old, I heard about the Diabetes Association and that they were doing, you collect so much money and you can run a marathon. And it was all to support the Diabetes Association. And so it was like 5 grand. I had to raise $5,000, and that went to the Diabetes Association. Then I went to Hawaii and I ran a marathon. and if you didn't raise the money, I mean, you could raise 2 grand, 3 grand, 4 grand, but if you didn't raise five, you had to raise five. And otherwise you get kicked and they'd have all that money. But I raised the 5 grand. In the process of doing that, they were giving me all these ideas for fundraisers and how to raise the money, car washes, send letters to all your family and friends that you are supporting the Diabetes Association. You're going to run a marathon. Please support me in running my marathon. And I didn't really naive about nonprofits at that time. And I asked my dad. I sent out all these letters, and I raised like $300-400, and I'm like, what am I going to do? How am I going to raise this money? And I asked my dad. I said, "Are you not going to donate? You're not going to help me?" And he's like, "No, of course not. I'm not donating money to a nonprofit. Do you know how much money these people make in nonprofits? It may be called nonprofit, but it's certainly not. Especially, then that's when I got educated as far as how to understand that nonprofits are public information, although I don't think they show all the information. But if you want to check them out, you can go online, you can look up any nonprofit and find out how much money they make and how much the CEO makes and all that stuff. Really, the point of my video is to talk about nonprofit versus for-profit in a way, because so many people think that nonprofits don't make any money. They make a lot of money depending on the nonprofit. And also a lot of them really are small, and that their purpose is to get community support. Because when you run a nonprofit, what does that mean? That means that all your donations are tax deductible, and also means that the nonprofit itself does not have to pay taxes either, right? Or they pay some taxes, yeah. And again, I'm opening this up for debate, meaning that please educate me as well. I mean, I've done my share of research and also my own personal view of a nonprofit and the things that they do. So I look at when we go into animal rescue, and that was it with the debate was that this person did not have a nonprofit status. And my, I guess, debate back to that was, why does someone have to have a nonprofit status to be looked at as a good source for an animal rescue? I don't understand that. I don't think you need to have a nonprofit. A lot of people do nonprofits because they need the financial support. And then they can solicit for donations and then tell the people it's tax deductible. They can put up fundraisers on Facebook or wherever, and they do birthday fundraisers. I mean, there's so much, thousands of dollars collected, and then that money goes to what it's supposed to go to, is to help and support what their cause is. So with animal rescue, and this one sticks out, with Saving One Life. And I did a little research with these because I think it's important, because it's public record, okay? So Saving One Life is pretty well known in Chandler, Arizona. And I actually did take a cat there quite a long time ago, pregnant cat, and it was in a big home in Chandler, Arizona. It wasn't a business or a big ranch, it was in a house. And outside of that, I've had no communication or any relationship with them, because anytime I have reached out, I've gotten no help whatsoever. And so I go look, and I'm thinking, well, geez, this nonprofit's not doing too bad for itself. We've got a revenue of $506,000. And the thing too with the nonprofits that always really, I think, hit me a little bit is they always seem to have a lot of expenses. So you have this group of people that want to do the good in the animal community. They start a nonprofit. And then they solicit all this money. They get grants, they get fundraisers. They also get discounts if they go to the vet, and they get free food, they get discounts on food. So they really get a lot of discounts. So when you look at like donations, so say within this revenue, we're looking at $506,000 of revenue. Their expenses are $554,000. I found this Fearless Kitty. Now these guys are in Fountain Hills, and Fearless Kitty Rescue in Fountain Hills, which is a very high-end community here in Arizona. And I hadn't even heard of this rescue. This rescue, their revenue is 631,000. And then I saw further down that they actually hit 1 million in their revenue. So $1 million. And then, which is interesting, they have that much in revenue, so they must be taking in more donations, right? They take a cat to the vet, and someone surrenders the cat, say, was hit by a car and needs surgery. Then they put up a fundraiser to raise the funds for the cat surgery, and everybody donates and pays for it. So I'm struggling with, like, where's the money really going? I mean, is it really, how factual are these numbers? Nobody ever really looks at this stuff, right? I mean, that's how I look at it, but how factual are they? In a nonprofit, the whole point is to not have to pay taxes or to not pay as much taxes. Why would they not opt to just open up a business? Well, the debate was, well, it's not a nonprofit, so therefore they're not helping the community. It doesn't make any sense to me. Somebody opts to not do a nonprofit because they have the money and they're perfectly fine with running their business the way they fit running their business. If you think a nonprofit is not a business, you're sadly mistaken. Nonprofits are still a business. They're running a business, but they're not for profit. But they truly are making money. So let's not be fooled by that. Absolutely do not be fooled by that. Nonprofits can make a shitload of money if they market and do it right. And in making all that money, it's setting aside, I mean, they get all these donations, they get half discounts and everything. Not a regular person can't.
Just ask Joel.
Just ask who?
Joel.
Joel Osteen? Oh, you're going into the Church of Union. I'm not there yet. But it started kind of with a debate with Delightful Days not being a nonprofit. And the thing to me is, why is it, first of all, anybody's business what she decides to do, whether she runs a nonprofit or runs a business? And she has her reasons for doing it. It doesn't make her not as recommendable as a nonprofit. I look at some of these nonprofits, these rescues, and you surrender a cat or a dog or a chicken or a horse, and they vet it, they get it fixed, they do all this stuff, and then they adopt it out, and the adoption fees are like $250. So their adoptions fees are high. You know, so it's always, if you really, people, their heart is in it and their heart is good, but they also still have to make a living somehow. But the other thing they get away with too with the nonprofits is that they're all volunteers. So these people don't make any money, the volunteers don't make any money. You know, but the CEOs, the people within the organization, they most definitely make the money. It's just like my dad told me, go look at the CEO's money. Go look at how much the CEO of American Diabetes makes. He said, no, I'm not donating to that. And that was his take on it. And when you go really look at this, it's like, holy cow, I mean, no offense, but doing good to me would be like maybe pro bono once in a while, like throw a bone out and help people, really help people that can't afford or they can't donate. And this is a good story too. A friend of mine, Candace, there was a lady that had kittens and had a litter of kittens. And I won't mention the rescue that ended up taking the kittens. Well, the woman didn't have any money. She could donate only $40. She donated $40 to this rescue. Literally, they took the kittens, and the man was so pissed off that it was only $40. He told the people that volunteered to return the kittens to the woman. No, $40 isn't enough to take care of this. We don't have the financial means to bottle feed these kittens, so return them to the woman that found them in a trunk of a car or something. Well, the volunteers were like, no, absolutely not. I'm not doing that. And they end up getting fired. I mean, you get fired, you're volunteering. They end up being let go from volunteering, and they took the kittens home. And then my friend did a GoFundMe and raised money to help these people be able to bottle feed and take care of these little kittens. So tell me it's not always about money. I would say always, because again, there are some really good rescues that their focus is strictly and mainly to help those that can't afford it. And then they rely on the people that have money to throw out the donations and all that. But I wanted to really make a really strong point, because I did quite a few with these, looking at the numbers, and everyone I looked at, they're making a good chunk of money, okay, for running a rescue and Cool Cats Rescue. Yeah, so there was in this one, well, this one didn't make as much, but still 140,000. You know, that's pretty good revenue, right? Running and this is all in donations, grants, fundraisers, and everything, every kind of avenue you can do to get people to give you money. And then it's tax write-off for them. It's a status thing that people think it's like it's a nonprofit. Will you donate? The documentary that came out for the Church of Union, or for the documentary that came out for the Twin Flame Universe by We're Not a Cult. It's called We're Not a Cult. Of course, I have that all over. So I was waiting patiently for their $9.90 to come out, and I finally got the big email that it came out, and I tell you, man, I just about lost my shit on this one. So, and again, it's really hard for me to not feel that so much of it is just corrupt fraud on many levels, and that people really go into it because it's all about the money. It's hard for me to not feel that way anymore in this world. And that they just set up a nonprofit because it's so easy anymore to get a nonprofit. Right? It is. It's so fucking easy to get a nonprofit. It's ridiculous. And Jeff, of course, he has his for-profit businesses, and then way back decides, just throw in the Church of Union. So it's a good way to put money through it. And he states clearly in the documentary that he is the biggest donor for the Church of Union. So we have this multimillionaire Jeff Devine that is the main donor for the Church of Union. And then and where they get their revenue this year is 211,000 for the Church of Union. Now, again, and I say again, I haven't expressed this in this video. Expenses 224, and they do this every single year. They always have their expenses higher than the revenue, so they're in the red, so they never pay taxes. The Church of Union, all it is a channel on YouTube. Every Sunday, they go on and they do a little sermon, which is tarot card readings, and it's incredibly poorly produced. It's just really bad. But they're calling that's what this is. So if Jeff's the main donor, because I can't even imagine why anybody would donate to this. And then again, the biggest thing with the Church of Union for me is, what are they doing for the community? Because I really feel like that is the bottom line with nonprofits, is that they give back to the community, right? The Church of Union, there's no giving back to anything. It all goes in and then they profit. And Chrissy and Jason, they profit big time on the Church of Union being the CEOs. But what I can't grasp, honestly, is how they justify these expenses. And they say contributions and grants. I don't even know how they'd even possibly qualify for a grant. But the contribution, 131 grand was contributions, which came probably just from Jeff, but also the members, because then the people that are volunteering for the Church of Union, all of these people, they have to do a tithing, and they also, they donate as well. And you see that with their fundraisers and their spring raffles, is that the only people that are really putting money into this nonprofit are the actual members of Twin Flame Universe. I love this too. Their firm's name, BOQU Lee CPA. I don't even know what that is, out of New York. and of course they don't show any income for anybody because they can't. Church of Union, again, stating clearly what it is. All it is, it has the YouTube Sunday services, and then they have a Facebook page for Church of Union. And they don't even really honestly have, and on top of that, Church of Union YouTube is monetized. So they're making very little money, but it still doesn't, that's the point is that they're still monetized. So every time you click on one of their videos, they're making a couple bucks every single time because they run ads on their Church of Union page. And it's a nonprofit. Then you have, under a listing, management, $25,966 for management. What are they managing? All right, so this here, at the end of 2024, their accountant, whatever you want to call them. SLS 2024. And I think I figured it out. That is Sunday Live Services on YouTube. $85,316 for YouTube videos that I'm doing right now, that I'm spending no money on to do. None. Okay? For a full year, I can work with what I have here, and not one penny is going out the door for what I have here. Now, of course, my time is of value. And that's what Jeff likes to say. Well, it's my value, my value. But we're talking the YouTube service. So they wrote off $85,000 for their YouTube videos. And then a PR campaign, which this is just classic right here. Their public relations campaign would have been them going and getting a PR company, $73,346 for their PR company for a nonprofit organization. They're writing it off through the Church of Union. The PR campaign was for their profit businesses, the Twin Flame Universe. That was the reputation they're trying to protect. So they are writing off through the Church of Union $73,000 for this PR company that ended up hiring Avery, which was a big mistake on their end because she really called them out big time. But that's where the money's going. Does that make sense to you? Doesn't to me, but please correct me if I'm wrong, that their PR they're writing off 73 grand on a PR. Subscription and dues. They're writing off their subscriptions and dues. Well, a subscription would be like their Divine Dish. You're going to get a subscription to Divine Dish. And because, you know, the recipes come from God. So he is putting it all in this thing that, well, if the recipes are coming from God, then it's going to fit in the religious bubble of the nonprofit. So if you subscribe to Divine Dish, he's going to write off the money. That doesn't make any sense to me at all. 29, almost 30 grand in subscription and dues. And what are the dues? The dues are what these people pay every month to the Twin Flame Universe, and also their tithing. So he's writing all that off as well. So we've got 29,428 in subscription. Then other expenses are a negative. So we have a negative $283 in other expenses. Does that make sense? No. How do you have a negative in other expenses? And total functioning expenses, you know, 224,493. And of course, they're going to go in the red or at least break even. So that way there's no taxes that have to be paid for the Church of Union. So this stuff just nauseates me, major nauseates me. And I just, and maybe that's why I am kind of like not interested, and I won't participate in nonprofit bullshit, because I have a really bad attitude about the fact that most of them are out for their own financial gain. They're also out for the fact that they don't have to pay taxes on, or they, I mean, I don't know. Look at churches. I mean, churches in general, but at least they have a building. I mean, I'll give them that. I mean, so they have a building. Jeff doesn't have a building. He has nothing. He's got a YouTube channel with people in India going on and talking about the trees and the breeze and the love in my heart and feel your feelings. This is it, Mike. I'm going to do a nonprofit for saying it, because I'm saying it. I'm spreading the word. And spreading the word, I think I should be a nonprofit. And I think everybody should donate to me to spread the word, because I have the voice and I'll do it. Being a nonprofit means that you do good in the world is bullshit, okay? That doesn't mean anything to me at all. They want the nonprofit status so they get that they get looked at in a certain light. No, we're not going to donate unless it's a nonprofit. That's good. Okay, so the $9.90 from the Church of Union is what spiked me to want to do this video, because first of all, I looked at that Sunday Live sermons and it just pissed me off. It's like, I don't understand how he keeps getting away with this shit. And I can only hope that for sure after that documentary came out that the IRS is actually looking into him. I mean, come on, man. I mean, really? I mean, you can't write off $85,000 for YouTube video. It's so corrupt, so much fraud bullshit going on with them. But also then, of course, what spiked me is the 990 came out with Church of Union, and then I have some girl giving me shit about the fact that Delightful Days isn't a nonprofit, and I'm just like, right, like Jeff, that's great, that's wonderful. So we need more corrupt nonprofits out there. No, thank you. I'll be delighted to go to Delightful Days. That's a nonprofit any day. Do your research on nonprofits. After my dad advised me, I swear I never looked at them the same again. I really never did. I mean, my dad is an accountant, he's a CPA, and he's like, no, I'm not doing, he wouldn't even support me because of the way I was doing it. And in truth, which is really funny, through the whole thing with the marathon, I go to Hawaii, I run a marathon, and it would have been cheaper for me to just buy a plane ticket and go fly out there and join the marathon. It was a marathon. It wasn't their marathon. But anyway, that tainted me after that. It's like, forget it. No more. No more of that. We do our little thing with Chuck Wagon because we just love Chuck Wagon, but outside of that, research. All right. Just saying it.